This is News Talk Tonight on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Hi, everyone. It's Thursday, July 20th. Welcome to News Talk Tonight. Robin Gill here, sitting in for Jim Richards. Well, the average price for a condo in the Greater Toronto Area in June of this year was about $737,000. Same time last year, $770,000. That's down 4.2%. In Vancouver, just to get a comparison on the West Coast, in June of 2023, average price, $767,000. That's up from about $763,000, just an increase of about 0.5%. Let's bring in Frank Leo, the CEO and founder of Frank Leo and Associates and Remax West. Hi, Frank.
Hi, Robin.
What's going on with the condo market? Why the drop in the GTA?
Well, I mean, the interest rates have gone up a little bit, and it's affected everyone, and so that affects the condo market and all housing to be, is going to be affected by it because the cost of borrowing money has gone up.
Yeah, for sure. So you'd say that it's the impact of the interest rates, but is there an opportunity now for somebody who's a first-time buyer?
Absolutely. I mean, long-term real estate's a great investment. What we have right now is an unfortunate drastic increase in interest rates in a very short period of time. I think the government was overly aggressive, but it needed to be corrected because we were at historically low rates that were not sustainable, and inflation was a problem.
At the beginning of this interest rate hike, we saw that the housing market cooled in pretty much every market across Canada. But then it picked up. Now where are we at?
Well, I don't think it really picked up. I think what happened was we didn't have enough homes or condos for sale. So there wasn't enough product out there. People were sitting on the fence. They weren't sure how long this was going to last, and they were hoping it was going to be over. What we're finding is that there's more properties coming on the market now. And as more properties come to the market, that will create a balance and probably a little bit of an adjustment in the price downward because of the extra homes coming on the market.
What about the detached home market? How's that doing?
It's similar fate. So what's happening here is the interest rates that have been reported as increasing by the Bank of Canada have not affected everyone yet because most mortgages are due maybe in 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years on the road. So we're going to get that steady 20% per year of having to renew. And that's where the adjustment has to come into people's lives because their monthly payments are going to increase 40%, 50%, if not more.
If you're just tuning into News Talk Tonight, I'm Robin Gill, sitting in for Jim Richards. We're talking to Frank Leo about the real estate market. Specifically, when it comes to detached homes, what's the average price nowadays in the GTA?
Well, in Toronto, it's over $1 million. That's the average home. And, it has come down and it's kind of stabilized. So it's not as low as people have predicted because there haven't been as many homes for sale currently, but we're seeing more people putting their homes on the market because they realize that it's not a short-term adjustment, that it's going to stay for a while, and people have to make these very important and hard decisions to make a move now.
What's the average price compared to last year, though?
It was down slightly from the last reports, but it almost, it is reasonably similar considering the interest rates went up so drastically. So we haven't seen that price depreciation like we thought we would have at this point, but there was an initial price decrease and there was a little bit more activity at the beginning of the year. The spring market was robust because not enough homes came on the market, but now we're seeing more homes coming on the market, and I think that will change.
So Toronto's no longer the hot market it once was.
Toronto's always going to be a hot market. There's not enough homes for the people that are here.
I love how you say, there's so much supply now. But yeah, sure, I know you have to sell it because you're a realtor, but really, is it cooling down, or do you think it's still a strong market?
I think the fact that we have more demand for homes than homes available, and I think the people who were thinking of selling were holding off, but now many people can't hold off anymore. They have to make that decision. So it's still going to be a good real estate market in the sense that we have a large population and the demand is there and there's not enough homes. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to be affected by the interest rates being higher and the lack of affordability. The affordability is actually lower because the cost of borrowing has gone up. So prices should adjust because of that. downward.
If you're just tuning into News Talk tonight, I'm Robin Gill sitting in for Jim Richards. We're talking to Frank Leo about the real estate market in the Greater Toronto Area. I was reading today that there's a parking spot that was just listed for sale, and it's going for $179,000. I remember when I bought my first condo in Toronto, and I had to pay $30,000 for a parking spot. Well, I guess this is a whole new thing to invest in, clearly.
Well, a lot of the new condos are not having enough parking spots. They want to eliminate or diminish the amount of cars and use public transit. So that's why it may be a little bit higher depending on where you are. But the reality is that, the cost of materials and everything, to build properties has gone up. So, I mean, that's kind of the dilemma that we have is the cost of construction is high, the cost of borrowing is high. So it's really a period of adjustment and balance, and we'll see where all the cards will fall.
You saw that the inflation rate dropped this week, and there is likely going to be another rate hike because it's just not quite in the range that the Bank of Canada wants. But there is a rosy picture down the road that in a year or two things could calm down. What do you foresee happening with the real estate market a year or two from now?
I think that real estate's always going to be something in demand, but as you mentioned, the price of homes compared to condos is much more. So people have to start with a condo and move up to a home, and says, step by step. But the reality is that when the Bank of Canada announced interest rate increases, it doesn't affect the average homeowner until they have to renew their mortgage, and that may be in a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. We have not felt or seen the effects of the higher interest rates. Now, inflation is slowing, but that means that it's not increasing as high as it was. So it's not going backwards. It's still increasing in prices. The increases we had before with the higher inflation, they haven't gone down. It's continuing to increase, but at a slower pace. So the cost of living is still very high.
Anecdotally, though, with your clients, are you hearing people who maybe had a variable rate wanting to sell now? Are you finding that?
We're getting some calls from some clients who are, they're feeling the pinch. They really can't afford that extra increase when they have to renew. Their variable mortgages have increased. Some of the banks have allowed for their amortization periods to be increased so that they keep the same payments until the renewal. But at renewal, they're going to have to face the real current charges of interest. What is something that they can't avoid, and I think that's going to force families to make big decisions in terms of what they're going to do next, unfortunately.
Inevitably, though, even with a fixed rate, the rates are going to be up. And I mean, for example, I have to renew in 2 years, and I'm going to be renewing at a higher interest rate. It's got me thinking, should I be selling in 2 years and recoup all of the interest that I paid? Is that a smart move?
Well, I mean, you have to live somewhere. So, when I say that we pay interest on our own homes, we also pay interest when we're renting. We're paying our landlord's interest. So you have to live somewhere, and you got to figure out what you can do. You're doing something right in terms of knowing when your mortgage is due. You should look into it now, what it's going to cost you, and then realize if you can stay there, how you can adjust your lifestyle to accommodate that increase in fees. Either you can stay where you are and earn more money, or, have someone rent out part of your home, or you may find a different size home or different location to live in. So if you're planning ahead, you're not going to be as affected as if you just wait till the last minute and then all of a sudden you get that extra charge monthly.
Earlier, I was talking about the price of condos in Vancouver and in Toronto. It dropped in Toronto, went up just slightly in Vancouver, but often the markets are so similar. What's the difference now?
Well, it's a matter of supply and demand, and Toronto is, I think, the leading area in the world with the amount of cranes that we have building here. So I don't think anybody in the world is keeping up with us, at least North America, with the amount of building. So we have more supply than Vancouver, and that would affect the prices, I would imagine.
All right, Frank, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us tonight.
Thanks, Robin. You're doing a great job, by the way.
Oh, I'm trying not to lose Jim's audience.
Oh.
Anyway, Frank Leo is the CEO and founder of Frank Leo and Associates. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to return to our top story and the Paul Bernardo case. He's been transferred to medium security despite the outrage. We're going to talk to a legal expert about that.